What are you doing? Hello and welcome. My name is Steve Ploetz, king of the Contingent on You Listening podcast, here without the prince today. No Isaiah Hernandez, but the podcast will continue on. Contingent on You Listening podcast is a podcast talking specifically all things real estate for agents, for consumers, just trying to figure out specifically how do we navigate these changing times, the changing market, and what are things that we can do as agents to better serve our clients. So, sometimes, today included, we've got a guest in the studio. Today we're talking with Stacy Feltman out of the Rancho Santa Margarita office, talking about managing your database and things in best ways, practices to stay in contact. Stacy, welcome in studio.
Thank you for having me.
Nice to have you here as I interrupt
Nice
you.
to be here.
You got to jump in quick with me. Let me tell
I'm used to it. I'm used to it.
Hey, so we've done a very little bit of research. And here's the research that we found. That top producing agents like yourself, the vast majority of their business, somewhere between 55 and 70% of their business, comes from past clients, sphere and people that they know, and their referrals. And so there's a story that I have heard. I make jokes about kings and princes, but that you are the queen of Rancho Santa Margarita.
I've heard that as well.
I don't know if that was a past client of yours, but that is a true story, right?
True story, and I agree with you on the referrals, SOIs, etc.
So,
yes.
And so you've been in your neighborhood working real estate for a decade plus?
Absolutely. Well, in the neighborhood I live in now since 2009, but in real estate for about 18 years.
Okay. So 2000, so, okay,
5-ish.
yeah. So 2009 to 2022, 23, you've been working the same area for 14 years approximately.
Yeah. I mean, our neighborhood definitely since 2009, but in Rancho Santa Margarita since 2005.
I love it.
And around anywhere it takes me.
And you do a lot of specific marketing to your neighborhood. But before we dive too far into that, I want to get a little bit of a background on who it is that you are. Obviously, you're an agent, but you also run a small team, even though all the production that you have shows it as an individual. You have an admin that works with you, and then you also have a buyer's agent, yes?
Correct. A buyer's agent and a full-time assistant now.
Okay.
Yes.
And what is your role within the team? Like, what do you do? What's
Right. I'm the team lead. So basically I bring in most, if not all of the leads to the team. And my job, Kat's job is to...
Who's Kat?
Sorry, Kat is our full-time assistant. She's actually, her official title is Director of Operations because she does it all for us. And her job is to keep me in the field, keep me talking to our people, our sphere, being out in the field, trying to find those leads. And I hand off the buyers to my buyer's agent.
Got it. Okay. And so a lot of the business, first of all, let me ask it as a question. Is there a good amount of your business that comes from people that you know in the neighborhood, past clients and their referrals?
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%.
And so what we're talking about today is database management, which is figuring out lovingly, authentically, how do we touch these people? How do we stay in front of these people? So let me ask a couple of really simple questions. Number one is, how does somebody make it to your database?
Right? Are they good looking enough? Are they tall enough? I actually put in pretty much anyone that I have their information on because couple things, and I know there's so much to talk about, so you'll have to guide me, but even though they're in your database doesn't mean they're going to receive the newsletter, right? So might as well put them in. And if they do not receive it and it hits spam, you have to call them and tell them you're not receiving it. We can get into that in a bit because the question was, yes, I put a lot of people in there.
So here's a question. A couple weeks ago, I called you about something business. You were walking through Hobby Lobby, and as we're on the phone, you run into, I'll make up a name, Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. How are you? Blah, blah, blah. I imagine that because you got kids in the neighborhood, because you are seen within the community, because you live in a boring little town, Rancho Santa Margarita, that inevitably what happens is you know a lot of people. There's community events. You run a lot of community events. So Jennifer that you run into in Hobby Lobby, just because you know her, is that enough? Is she good looking enough to make it into your database? Where do you draw the line?
No, absolutely. Anybody that I know, I will put them in the database. I mean, if they don't want to receive the newsletter, they can always opt out, right?
Gotcha.
So if I have their email, they're going in.
Got it.
And if they were on my children's soccer team, and because I was always the team mom and I got everybody's emails, I used to put them in. They probably
You're
didn't
good with Capri Suns and orange slices. Got it. Check.
and much more. But yeah, I put them in there. I mean, they can always opt out, like I said.
And so then do you separate them by past clients, sphere, people that I've done business with, vendors, center of influence? Yes. So you are organized.
I'm very organized. Some of it. In the beginning, I think you're just putting everybody in there. And
Absolutely.
then as I started farming different neighborhoods, so I'll use some names, Los Paseos, where I used to live, I have a list for that. Then I started farming Robinson Ranch, so I have a list for that. Because what you don't want to do is bore people to they're going to, opt out if the information isn't somewhat targeted towards them. But I also have a main master list, so everybody gets the newsletter. Then I had a list for the breast cancer angels charity event.
So what you have is you have a master list. Everybody and their mom is on big list of a bunch of names. You do some marking specific to that list.
Correct.
It might be you talked about the breast cancer event that you've done for 5 years. Mm-hmm. Congratulations, by the way. You raised hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes, millions.
Tens of thousands?
We'll call it almost 200,000.
Yeah, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars of money that goes specifically to women
angels.
in Orange County going through treatment. That's rad. If we had an applause emoji clap,
Maybe
I think we do. There you go. Look at that. That's fantastic.
Yay.
So what you're saying is with the master list, you might invite all of those people to your breast cancer event, but maybe not all of those get your vendor. Maybe not all of them get your newsletter or get an invite to a client appreciation party or something like that. So you have then different pieces that are within there, and that's how you navigate it. Does that make sense?
Correct. I mean, to be honest, with the breast cancer event, I had a separate list because it got so large and we could only host around 330. So I invited my people first. I wanted my clients there, my friends, my family, my sphere. And then if we had more tickets available, then I would go out on social media and maybe send it again to other people on. But that's different, right? Because you're trying to I wanted to create an atmosphere of people. Of course, I'm plugging my business, but you want people there that you really want to see, that I knew, at least that I had some sort of relationship.
I guess my question is, where are these people housed? What do you use a CRM? You've got these lists. Tell me about where do they live?
Right.
You get it.
Yeah, I do. So they're obviously in Constant Contact, which is our main hub right now. But after 18 years, we're still trying to find that perfect CRM. And because there honestly isn't one, I'm using SharePoint, which is an Excel-based spreadsheet that the whole team can access, and a whiteboard. We are right now talking to a CRM that I think we're going to move into. But the thing is, everybody's always looking for this amazing CRM. You have to figure out what you really want it to do, because Constant Contact does our newsletters, it does the birthdays, and it does the house anniversaries. So people, if their birthday is in the system, it's going out, which is so easy. And then the house anniversary, it's going out. And then the newsletters, they're pretty robust. You can put a lot of information in there. You can put in our Santa Parade. We can put in the video. We can put in new listings. So what I have figured out what I want the CRM to do, now I'm trying to find one that will tell us who to touch. Because in the Excel spreadsheet, obviously it's not going to say, hey, you haven't talked to, Rebecca for 2 years. So that's really all I need the CRM to do.
So right now what you're doing is, give me a guess. How many people are on this master list?
So it's not very large because it's like 560. I tried it.
Okay.
I have an open rate of 61%, which I think is really high.
So you track. So what you're saying there is, when you send something to all 560 people, 61%, whatever that is, 350 people, are opening it, and you're able to track and see who's opening it and who's not.
Yeah, which is really important. And so last month, 8 people clicked on the link. So you can look, so Kat put something fun in there too, right? Like, look at this house in Aruba where everybody wants to go. So few people clicked on that, but a few people clicked on a listing that we have in Robinson Ranch on Briarwood. So that tells me, maybe they're looking to make a move.
I got you.
Yeah,
and then you can use that information in order to touch them. So you talked earlier about the concern of that you don't want, that people can opt out. That
Correct.
the idea is that, hey, we're going to put them on our list, we're going to send them stuff, and then they can opt out. But trying to balance the authenticity of some email, newsletter, that kind of stuff, also with personal touches, as how I take that. So since you're not using a CRM, how do you, and maybe it's not tracking it, but how do you know when to touch someone, when not to touch someone? When do you reach out, and how often do you reach out? You've got 560, which I feel like is a manageable number.
Right.
And I'm just trying to figure out if I'm a new agent or if I'm building my list, figuring out, because you have such a presence within your community and you do a fair amount of deals within your community, that it feels like you must be touching them in some capacity, whether it's marketing or email or direct mail or something.
Right. There's a lot more that we do, but if I'm trying to stay focused, because I can talk about everything on Constant Contact, I do want to mention a couple things before I forget. So what we're also targeting right now, and I'm going to take my client party because that was our A+ people. So 160 people got invited. Out of that 160, about 100 people opened it. So then the project for the last couple months was calling those 60 people and said, hey, because this is a great way to touch people, right? You're like, I saw that you, did not participate in our client party, and actually you didn't receive the newsletter. Let me check if I have your same email. Then you can make sure, right, you have the same email. And then if they're not getting that newsletter still, I'm going to send it to you, and let's make sure that you receive it. So I want, out of those 160 people, I want everybody opening that newsletter.
Right.
So
to at least make sure that it's not hitting people's spam, that they're at least aware of it, that even if somebody isn't saying, yes, I'll be there, or sorry, I can't make it, that you're feeling like I'm getting in front of them. Even if I'm getting in front of them for 5 seconds and they're deleting it, I'm still in front of them and they still know.
Right. Making sure our hard work is paying off. I think so much of what we do as agents is like, look at me on social media, look at me out in the community, look at me doing the mailings. Like, the reality is, unless people are really seeing you and noticing you, like, it might not go anywhere. I mean, it's interesting to look at your stats on social media, because you can put out this huge, fabulous video and you're like, oh, that's great. I got like 30 views, and you've paid hundreds of dollars for it. So back to Constant Contact. Now I've realized we can text everybody too that did not receive the newsletter. So next month, if we do I should say in the spring, we're going to do a client party, but I don't want to wait that long. So next month, if we send the newsletter again, of those people who did not view it, we can now do the text messages.
You've got the ability to reach out and touch them and say, hey, just want to make sure that you're getting this. So then in these touches, I mean, certainly you have a newsletter that's real estate related. You have other touches of other things, and everybody does something, whether it's food drives or garage sales or Santa parades, et cetera. I'm just wondering, then with those touches, how often are you asking for business? How often are you saying, and I would say more in an active way than in a passive way. It's one thing to say, hey, you should use me as a realtor in a newsletter, but it's another thing to say, hey, Stacy, do you know anyone that's looking to buy or sell, or how can we help each other? How often are you actively seeking out and asking that kind of question?
Yeah, I'm not great at it. I mean, I definitely am good at always kind of.
Well, and I don't think that you have to be good at it. I mean, certainly they've given me your numbers. You're doing great numbers.
Thank you. Yeah, but I'm not asking for the business. But I joke, the movie Dumb and Dumber, when the guy's standing up at the bar and he's putting out the vibe.
Yeah, you're putting.
I love that. I put out the vibe. But last night, or I can't remember, I was somewhere and I didn't have a business card. I'm like, how can I not be carrying my business cards around? So I do need to.
Gary Ward would be very disappointed.
Listen, Gary, you know what I do, and a little bit of a trick. So if you don't have a business card, I think it's better. I go, let me text you. So I'll text them my entire contact via text. So I just said that. So then when they put me in, if they search for realtor, I'm going to come up. If they search for Orange County agent or any of those words, I'm going to come up.
We do that with an open house flyer. We don't bring an open house flyer anymore. We do it electronically, and we say, hey, we'll text it to you. And then all of a sudden we have their contact information.
Exactly.
And then and I would say for our team, we don't do an incredible job of then following up incessantly, but we'll always follow up with a phone call and at least say, hey, I want to make sure that you got it. And did you have any questions about the property? By the way, if this isn't the property, what are you looking for? It at least creates that kind of conversation. I feel like you do such a good job at farming, having a reputation. I mean, my goodness, I feel like if you put out an open house sign in your neighborhood, you probably have several people that just stop in just to see you. even though they're probably not interested in buying or selling, purely because of you and your reputation.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you have to be. So I was just talking to. Do you want to go off real constant contact now? Because
we take it. Yeah, we can.
I mean, any questions?
I'll just
let me
interrupt you
know.
and bring it back if it
I
gets
know
way
you
off
will.
topic.
So I was talking to Realtor.com on the way down, and what they're doing. I don't know if I should be promoting them, but what they're doing is. So you can have these sponsored ads, but then it falls into people's feeds on Facebook and Instagram. And although I am a huge advocate for social media and post on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm going to get into Google ads soon. Now, if it's on realtor.com and it's also hitting those people feeds on Facebook, Instagram, they say 7 times, right? But then we got open house signs out. I have my Santa parade coming up. I'm actually having a planning party at my house. I do garage sales, client parties, and maybe some sort of breast cancer.
Yeah, so it's just staying in front of these people in a way that isn't annoying.
It's exhausting.
That's also authentic and real, and shows the depth of kind of who you are. At one time, I'm sure asking for business in some capacity, like a newsletter that's specifically about business, but then also they see you on social media with your daughter or something like that. Then there's some layers to it.
It all just falls back to relationships, though. And as much as I've tried to make things happen, I mean, there's things in your life that you want so badly. If you trying to force it, it's not going to happen. I mean, I've been hearing like all these little energies coming to me, like you need to be someone that is bringing good energy to you, like attracting people, right? So going around being who you are, that's what I've been good at. If I look at my numbers and could go through where my people come from, it's some sort of relationship. I'm better now at cold people. I think I even have 100% capture rate on a program that I won't mention, but which tells me.
Yeah, so you mean like internet leads you haven't done in the past, but now all of a sudden you're starting to do internet leads, and you're getting. What I'm hearing is you feel like your skills are getting better to be able to build a relationship over the phone quickly with somebody versus being in a scenario where you see them once a week for 10 weeks at your daughter's soccer game, where you're able to build a relationship, you're showing up professional, they get to see who you really are, and they're able probably to then put that with, hey, yeah, I've seen your signs, or yeah, I think I get your marketing piece, or something else like that, that stuff all stacks on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and going in, then I'm winning the listings, and I'm not shy to ask for the business and show. Like there used to be a fine line of like looking desperate or too aggressive, but I feel like the people that are hiring me as a listing agent is because I'm a go-getter and I'm going after them. They're like, this is what we want.
Well, and I think also you bring a great energy to, a relationship, you bring a great energy to a deal. Obviously, you've got 18 years of experience and a vast background in terms of the number of transactions that you have. But I think that people want to be friends with you. People want to be around you. And I do think that that's a testament to who you are and the energy that you give off. So I'm not surprised that you don't have to ask for business because you can put out the vibe. And that's rad. That's really very good. So let me ask you here as kind of we talk about database, past clients, spheres. Tell me your opinion of moving forward into 2023, where there's, I would say for the first time in a few years, there's a little bit of uncertainty. There's a little bit of like, not so sure what this is going to look like. Where does your database fit into that kind of market? Where does relationships with people plug in?
Right. Really important, and staying in front of them. So working that database again, making sure that all our A+ people are getting that newsletter. That's top of mind right now. So calling them, if not texting them, and I'm hoping through the text we can just send a link so that they can, put their email in and it, hits their inbox versus spam is really important. I'm gonna do a client party pretty early on, a kickoff in a great location where we're gonna have tons of visibility. So the restaurant next door, people going in at the right time, at that time will see us too. I think right now we are the professionals and we need to help guide our buyers and our sellers.
That's
We're
beautiful.
the
Yeah.
experts. We know what's going on. And, there's so many opportunities for buyers to get in with better rates that they're not aware of. And talking to lenders, I just got put in front of the U.S. Bank and a top person at 2 top people at Wells Fargo that I'm just, came into my open house and then through a referral, trying to figure out these programs so that we can put out there great information to make it happen. And I think right now I would personally buy my little home in San Clemente that I'm wanting because I don't want to compete against all these other offers. So, maybe I get into a mortgage that is, not a fixed rate, but then in a couple years, it's going to come down. We'll be okay. We're going to put out to the universe.
Talking rates will come down. Yeah, no, I certainly agree with you that now's the time for an expert. Now's the time. For the last couple of years through COVID, it has been pretty obvious that the market is going up and that if you want to get anything, you need to give up something. You need to give up terms. You need to give up on price a little bit. But now all of a sudden we're getting into a market that adjusts a little bit, and then this fear starts to creep in. And so now more than ever is the time to work with an expert.
Which is when people shy away. No. I'm going to buy something super fabulous for marketing.
Look at you buying something super fabulous.
I'm so excited. I'm going to be like this. I say the queen of Rancho. You got to tell me after who called me that.
Well, I do think that I certainly agree with you that the relationships that we have with the people that we have are the most important. And so thank you. Thank you for the friendship that we have. Thank you for being here. We're going to wrap it up. But
this is so fun.
I definitely think 2023 and the years moving forward, I take heed to what you're saying. Work with the people that you have relationships with. Leverage those relationships in good ways. Be authentic. Be real. Stay in front of them. Touch them. Let them know that you care and that you're here. And it's rad.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I forgot to mention I'm going to start that networking group.
Look at
Putting
you.
it out there.
More touches
I need
for
top people.
For more people. Well, hey, thank you again, everyone. Thanks to Stacy Feltman out of the RSM office. Thank you for joining us and being here on the Contingent on You Listening podcast. Hopefully next time the Prince will be back, but we'll see until then. Otherwise, keep trucking, and hope to see you again sometime soon.